Chefs, what's the beef? Episode 55, Chef Fit Podcast. It's your boy and your other boy, Cam Peter here, coming in strong. Petey, what's the crack? It's only about 3 o'clock in the morning there, pal. You still alive?
Yeah. All good. We're winning. How are you getting on?
Fine and dandy, my friend. Fine and dandy. As we were saying just before the podcast started there, the fucking hair is... You might be able to see it, folks. The lighting mightn't be there, but Jesus Christ, we're getting a bit feral. Peter's is amazing quiff to take.
It's very rare you see my hair. It's super dry, and it's the same color as light, as you can see. I tell you, I was dolled up last night, ready to go. Quiffed on fleek to bits, fresh shaved. Just out of the shower, had my quarantine hazmat Rick onesie. Sanchez onesie on, ready to go.
And I never showed up. Folks. Best believe it. Okay, not great. Time zone differences, we'll put it down to that.
Has cabin fever kicking in yet, or what? Are you doing well?
Nah, we're all good. Actually, to be honest, and this is something that me and Ella were talking about last night, is that... and I could see this in the group, like a really, really good round table, like a coaching call with all the chefs last night. There was about 15, 16 people on. And I think for the most case, and myself included, that kind of adapting to it, and finding a way to make, as we've been talking about the fucking whole time, trying to find a way to keep it positive and find the fucking silver lining, but actually, settling into a half decent way of life, and I'm getting some really good work done. Sorry, I actually looked down. I didn't even notice it's cat for a sec.
Fucking catch up anyway. Hey, we're loving it here. We really are.
Yeah, big time.
We it's not just make the most of. We're really enjoying it now. We've like, right, this is the way it is. It's going to be at least another 3 weeks. Let's fucking enjoy it.
It's a mindset thing, man. It really is. It's a mindset thing, and I think kind of going into it's similar enough to what we're going to be talking about today, which is finding your why. Okay, and having a proper reason for doing something is the key to you achieving the thing that you want to achieve. All right, and with that in mind, it's like taking it back into this situation. It mightn't have been like, oh, it's a deep-seated reason why I'm doing something, but there was a conscious decision for me, and I suppose what I tried to get across to the chefs and what Peter's done. It was a conscious decision to make the best of the situation and not accept the reality that's kind of been thrown at us by so many things we're seeing on social media, which is shut it down, sit on your fucking hole doing nothing, and obviously if people were relaxing, I get that totally. And I've done, our weekends or our days off, like me and Ella have spent definitely more time, chilling out. But outside of that, I've tried to keep my structure, and I was committed to that structure, and not even just committed to the structure, but trying different things. Like, okay, cool. Well, I fucking hated bodyweight workouts, but I have no choice. So now I'm going to get into them and see what I can do with them. And now it's I'm actually getting into a good routine with them, with the fucking courses and stuff. Like we were just talking about, Chef Fit just launched out a couple of, a new recruitment drive, and I've been working very hard to rebuild things and go back over our message and shit. And now I'm coming back at it again for round 2 with renewed vigor. And that's all down to a mindset of just fucking not accepting the defeat, And I think for some people they've really, and I get it and I understand, but as I said, when you spend so much time consuming on social media and taking in all this shit, you kind of, you can buy into it and it can cause you to stop. And I think for me, I stopped looking at the fucking news. You know what I mean? Unless it's
I think now that the uncertainty is gone, uncertainty's been gone over a week now. We know what the fuck is going on. We know what is in front of us. So it's time to we've adapted to it, and we've improvised in order for us to go forward with what is on our plate at the moment. And now this is the new normal, and there's no more holiday season or lockdown bollocks. This is the way it is now, and it's very important for you to get up as if I'm not getting up at 6:15 or 6 o'clock like I was for work, but when I do get up, I'm getting up and I have a purpose. And if I'm going to sit down, chill out and play the Xbox or go out into the garden and play with the kids, I'm going to make sure that I don't have anything else left that needs to be done. Unless it's a run, which is, I like to do them in the afternoon when it's a bit cooler. But if it's other than that, I find it hard if I don't stick to the structure. And it's not a new thing. I'm not doing this because I used to do it that way now. Do you know what I mean? I'm doing it because this is the way I've adapted to doing it, and this is the way you have to operate. And as soon as if I let that slip, it's holiday mode again. Because that's what was creeping in after the first 2 weeks off was, you're on holidays.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I think we are so adaptable, and we can adapt in ways to make the best of the situation, but there has to be a desire to want to make the best of the situation. We all did it the first week or two. I did the exact same thing in the first week or two, where, it's like, right, I'm gonna stick to my structure somewhat and keep my discipline, but it's also a bit of a fucking, how often do you get this? Spend time off, but then fast forward whatever amount of weeks in we are now, or whatever time people are even listening to this potentially in the future.
It's still Schmur's you know what I mean? There's still no time and day. You just have to move on.
But how much time off is too much fucking time off as well? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're talking fucking maybe 2 weeks in the gas grand, but at this point, if you're not trying to pull yourself together, I question where the fuck you're at in general.
That's what I mean by the uncertainty is gone. For the first 2 weeks, it's like, right, we're going to be shut down. It's probably going to be for 2 weeks or more. And then when we were halfway through the first week, we knew quite well it was going to be more. When we got to the end of the second week, they're like, it's going to be another 3 weeks. And when them 3 weeks come in, it's not going to be 9 o'clock Monday morning, everything back to normal. That's not the way it is. So for me, we've changed everything. We changed the structure in the house, and I've definitely changed my own structure. But this is, as far as I look at it, this is going forward. When things get back to normal and we all get to go back to the gym and we have our routines back together, that's all well and good. But for the first 2 weeks, it was like, do you know what? I haven't had a full 2 weeks off in years. I'm going to enjoy this. And it was almost like it was going to be holiday mode, But straight away, I was like, I have my commitment. I have people that hold me accountable as it is. I was like, no. I'm going to improvise this holiday into starting off this new normal. Obviously, it's going to be a lot more chill than any other 2 weeks of my whole entire life, even more chill than any other holiday time. But once the structure kicked back in, so last week did. This week, for sure, it's not holiday mode anymore.
Yeah, totally. And I suppose the reason, it's just that ultimately there is definitely time for chilling out, and I'm someone who loves his own time and fucking loves to escape, playing a fucking, getting into new games or watching films or music or whatever. Like, I love that. But I also know that when you indulge for too long, I end up becoming unhappy, because you just how long can you just fucking be mooching around before you actually have to be focused on something? That's per me personally, So even though the time was there in that first week or two, you get to a point where it's like, if I just keep fucking around, I'm actually not going to be satisfied or happy with what I'm doing. I'm just going to get stir crazy, and tensions are going to rise and stress is going to mount, So to circumvent that, you have to be able to maintain, or even not after, just follow it up with some level of discipline. And I think that ties into what we're about to talk about, which is What's Your Why? It's a great book. And I suppose the title of this is inspired by a book that some of you may or may not have read by Simon Sinek, and it's called What's Your Why? And his biggest thing and what he says is, the most important shit that you're going to do in your life, the most important shit that you're going to do in your life, your life's work, let's say, or maybe it's a life-changing transformation that some chefs join ChefFit for. Maybe it's pushing yourself towards, a career goal. Maybe it's doing something in your personal life or with your family. There has to be a strong reason why behind it in order for you to follow through with it. And, whether it was outside the lockdown and outside the pandemic and, you were looking to make a change within yourself, chef, but you've always struggled to make a change. It's like, fuck, I struggle with my health, but I'll jump on an old diet and I'll see what happens. And I always end up losing motivation. like a lot of the times we can we can either blame two things. We can blame work, and we can blame our energy, and we can blame all of these things that are kind of external to us. We can blame ourselves, which isn't a bad thing to do sometimes in those situations, because a lot of the times we'll let ourselves off the hook unnecessarily. But honestly, and the God honest reason, whether you're on lockdown or whether you're not, whether you before lockdown, you know, when you were looking to make the change that you were looking to make, and this is the Chef It podcast, so I'm going to be specific on it. It's like, I think in the majority of cases that the reason that you haven't done what you wanted to do, which is make that change, the reason that you haven't done that is because you're not clear on what your why actually is. Okay? You're not clear on what that why actually is. And I suppose the reason for that is that, you know, we all have periods in our life where we're extremely motivated to do something, where we're driven and we're focused on doing something, and there's no chance that we're going to let it go. Well, ultimately, that happens because it's important to us. We've committed to something that's important to us, but we've all also done things half-assed, where we're just kind of gone, well, you know, I'll fucking start this thing, do it for a week. Sure, I was never going to do this for the rest of my life anyway. Fuck it, we'll go back to square one again. You've got to understand that your reasoning for doing something is probably the most powerful driver for doing it in the first place. So I suppose even I'll give you an example. You know, Chef It, let's say. Chef It is a business and it's my living and it's my livelihood. However, there's far easier ways for me to make money. And Chef It wasn't about making loads of money. Chef It was about helping people and making an impact on people who I was, you know, passionate about helping. People who I saw had been forgotten about the same way I had kind of been forgotten about, and I had no outlet when I was in the industry. So I knew that other people needed an outlet, and I needed something positive that they can sink their teeth into. So Chef It, the idea behind it, and I suppose the reason that it's remained here and we've been successful and we're building on further success, you know, that's because it comes from a place of authenticity. It comes from a place of, no, it's real, and I'm not here to fucking, you know, fuck me. You could sell fucking weed, or you could sell whatever if you were that desperate for cash. You know, there's ways and means of doing that. That's not the focus. And if that was my focus, if my focus was just making dough, then what would have happened is, basically, I would have done it for a fucking couple of months. The first sign of trouble or adversity or struggle, or even financial struggle, which I've had plenty of times like that, you know, any period of time that happened, I would have fucking given up the goose, and I would have said, fuck it. Good luck. Fuck the chefs. Fuck all of them. Fuck the tribe. Because if my reasoning wasn't right for doing it in the first place, I wouldn't have followed through with it at all. But I didn't, because I made a commitment to doing something from a place of authenticity. And I knew that I could, you know, impact something here, and I want to impact it. Like, that's my reason for doing this thing. You know, I want to help people who need the fucking help, who I'm passionate about helping, because I know exactly what it's like standing in their shoes. That will drive. And
nobody fucking else will. Nobody else will stand up for us.
Exactly. So, like, you know, no, that's a driver that will keep you there. If you're doing it for the wrong reasons, you won't fucking do it. And it was a great quote that I came across the other day, and it's like, you'll commit if it matters to you. You know, when we all know this, Peter. Like, everyone comes in and different periods, different chefs come in, you know, and all of us have the classic inbuilt, I want to say excuse, but really it's a reason, you know, and I don't point the finger at anyone and go, you're a fucking dickhead. You're like, it is what it is. I used to say the fucking exact same thing. I used to say the exact same thing years ago. I don't have time for anything. I don't have time for training, so I'll train 2 days a week when I was supposed to be a competitive powerlifter instead of the 4 or 5 days a week that I should have been doing. You know, I don't have time, don't have the energy, which was true, but again, I would have that reason backed up for anything that I was doing. And the quote I came across was, you'll commit and you'll make the time, or you'll find the energy if the thing actually matters to you. And the only way that something matters to you is that if you have a fucking strong reason for doing it. You know what I mean? And that's the God's honest truth. That's the truth. Like people say I don't have time. Well, I would say you probably do have time, but it doesn't matter enough to you to make time. It doesn't matter enough to you to find energy. It doesn't matter enough to you to sort the situation out, you know? And that's where you have a half in, half out attitude to things, and that's where you fail. That's the truth. I've done it. Peter's done it. We've all fucking done it. Okay? And I see a difference between chefs who kind of come in, and as bad as this sounds, the chefs who are usually in the most pain have the highest success. You know, usually in the most pain have the highest success. Now, pain comes in different ways for different people. But like some chefs, it could be a mental health thing. You know, they could have serious bouts of depression, anxiety. I've had some chefs, you know, suicidal, self-harming. Like some people have been that deep in the hole. On the other side, there's also equal amounts of pain that mightn't also have the mental health part of it. It might be a confidence thing, a self-esteem issue, not being fucking happy with where you're at. And come on, Peter.
A fucking cat.
What's your? Oh, was it?
She grabbed the fucking wire off the mic.
Frag out. Fucking, what would I say there? So it's like on the other side of that, you might have self-esteem or confidence as a thing that causes you a lot of pain, and you've never believed in yourself as a result, or it could be a combination of both. But the chefs that I see who struggle with those things severely are usually the ones that come in and turn it around. Why? Well, they just said it.
I tell you why I can, because eventually you change your why into a fucking why not. You know, when you have this staring your face in the mirror, that's how I feel. As you were saying, what's your why? When you're saying that's what the topic was going to be, I was trying to remember what my why was. I had loads of superficial ones. I had plenty of deep, meaningful ones that I found along the way. Where eventually it was why not was the reason that maybe it was like, do you know what? Why not?
Yeah.
That's why I stood up then and said, right, let's do this. So, you know, that's eventually my why turned into a why not.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Because, and if I say why again, if we have one of those links clickers, lads, we'll keep counting those off the episode. Fucking Christ. The why and the why and the why is why.
And the why not, that's why.
That's a good, really, really fucking good point. Because you're in a totally different space and a place compared to how you started. Now, I know your thing was, you know, body confidence and fucking sick of trying diets and want to sort myself out physically. But as you said, you picked up a lot of shit along the way. Peter, when he made the commitments and he drove through, like he gave it everything from the very beginning and he saw results in a very short amount of time. However, it's the psychological change in him that is very noticeable over time. He operates in a different way. He's far more of a leader. Obviously, he's fit. He's fucking far stronger. He's proficient in the gym when he wasn't really into the gym before that. He's developed in a huge amount of ways. And within ChefFit, he's a leader. You know what I mean? And people kind of look to him for, you know, guidance or leadership. Now, you might start off with a reason that's just personal. I want to get myself out of pain. So that reason could be my relationship's on the rocks. I need to sort my shit out. My career is fucking threatened. I need to sort my shit out. My mental health is threatening my actual life. I need to sort it out. My confidence, my health physically is a real issue. Those might be your reasons for getting the thing started in the first place. But eventually, if you commit yourself for a long enough period of time, which is why having a strong reason is important, because you'll commit yourself for a long enough period of time. But by committing for that period of time, what ends up happening is you develop a new identity. You develop a new version of yourself. And this is probably Peter's thing. And this is my reason for training. You know, this is my reason for being disciplined and taking care of myself. And the reason is to maintain my identity. Because I've been doing this for so fucking long, you know, and competitive and different shit and pushing myself physically, whatever else. They'll always, through that process of commit myself, I've built a baseline where it's like, this is the level that I can't stoop below. And I need to stay on top of this. And that's that whole thing of like, you go from having a really strong why to a fucking why not. Because the way of life that you have, it becomes a way of maintaining who you are. It's like brushing your fucking teeth. I said this to everyone, you know, in Start Chef because it's such a good analogy. You know, you want to get to the point where exercise and training is like brushing your teeth at night. You don't question it. And the reason that we brush our teeth and we don't question it, Well, what if you did start questioning it and you stopped doing it? Well, you'd start losing your identity and you'd start becoming fucking bleeding gums Murphy. Do you know what I mean? You'd start becoming a shadow of yourself. You know, stop washing yourself, stop cleaning yourself, you know, stop exercising, like let yourself go completely. You'll lose who you are. And I think that's what happens to a lot of chefs to get them in pain in the first place, is they let go of who the fuck they are, you know, and they commit it all and sacrifice it all for work. And then after a couple of years of that, you're like, where am I at here? What is actually happening? You know? So drink the water and it all goes up my nose. That's fantastic. Absolutely excellent stuff there, folks. So
what about when you reach your why, Cam?
You need to recalibrate and find out what you're doing it for, you know. And as long as it's not that there's the best reason for doing something, you know. I think that's bollocks. I think it's personal to every single person, and I don't think just because this person struggles with that makes them stronger or whatever the fuck. It's not the case. Everyone is different, but you know, you have to be able to reassess all the time. You have to be able to reflect all the fucking time. You know, after you do something, you have to reflect. A lot of us and how we operate through life is we just keep going without really thinking about what we're doing. You know, think about anything that you've really dived into and then kind of lost interest in. Well, there's a very good chance that you didn't reflect on why you were doing the thing in the first place. So that's why you kind of dropped the ball with it. You know, so you need to be able to reassess what you're doing something for, and get specific on targets, because it's all about being able to drive yourself and motivate yourself. You know, it's being able to drive yourself and motivate yourself. And you'll get to a point where you don't need as much motivation. You know, as you said, you have the habits built, and it's a case of why wouldn't I fucking do this as opposed to why am I doing this? But regardless, you need a direction to go in, and you need a reason for going in that direction in order to fucking, you know, to keep moving forward. And if you don't have that nailed down, you don't have a destination, and you don't have a reason for getting to that destination, well, you're going to be going nowhere. It's like a boat at sea. You know, when I say this about chefs who drift within our program, it's like the drift is like you start off on the shoreline, you get in the boat, you fucking push off into the ocean, and you set off in the distance, and you can see your destination. And the destination is the next piece of land, and it looks like a straight line from where you're going. Now, what would happen if you didn't have, what would happen if you weren't trying to get to that next piece of land? Well, you've got no destination and you got no reason for it. So what happens then? Well, you're going to drift and you're going to float and you're going to just live a life of mediocrity. How many times in our lives have we just kind of been floating, just mooching about, just living day to day, going through the motions? Like, that's a life of mediocrity. And, you know, if you're not happy with what you're doing, question what direction you're going in. Because if you can't even answer that and you don't know what direction you're going in, then, you know, there's case in point. You know exactly where the problem is. So again, imagine your life like that. It's like a boat that you've pushed out from this point. You're trying to get to point B, and the reason that you're trying to get to point B is personal to you. But if you don't have the destination and you don't particularly have a strong reason for doing it, or you have no reason at all, you will float, you will drift, and you will fucking go up. So it's not that it's about having the best why. It's not. It's not about having the best reason. It's not about one person's better than the other. It's not personal to you. But if you don't have it, you're going down the fucking tube, son. And that's the truth. So let's break this down, like really, really break it down into practical steps. Every time that I have a conversation with someone on the phone, you know, let's say like Peter, I had a conversation with you on the phone where we talked about shit and we got you on the fucking, you know, talked about the program. For a lot of chefs who I speak on the phone to, or Ella speaks on the phone to if they look to join ChefFit, you know, we call it a free consult because it's a chance for us to consult you on what's happening within your life at the moment. And someone to give you a non-judgmental, objective view of what's happening to you. So for a lot of people, it's like they're having problems within their relationship and their relationship's on the rocks. And then through a conversation, they actually slowly come to realize that they're the problem within their relationship. You know, I know a lot of chefs who don't have any energy, they don't have any headspace. So when they're at home, they're barely even listening to their fucking partner. Their days off, they sit around and they don't do anything. Again, we've all done it. I get it. But the relationship starts to come under pressure. And let's say an example would be, it's all her fault. It's all his fault. They don't understand what it's like for me standing on my feet for 12 or 14 hours a day. And a lot of people don't understand what it's like standing on your feet for 12 or 14 hours a day. But the reality is, the only person that can fix your situation and help them understand or make the situation better is you. And through a conversation with myself or someone else or anyone who's objective and fucking doesn't do things in a judgmental way, they can usually tell you that. You know, they can usually tell you that. And in that call, the thing is, a lot of chefs will have that why sparked. They'll kind of go, oh, fuck, yeah, shit, I'm the problem in the relationship. I need to fix this. That becomes a driver and a motivator. Let's say they tell me about a symptom or a problem that they're having at home with their kids. They're never playing with their kids, or they're sitting on the couch and they're watching TV on days off, and they make excuses for not taking them to the playground. And, you know, I can't be fucking arse. You know, when you come to accept that, and when they lay that out on the table, I will then go, well, like, to be honest, you don't have energy, you don't have the headspace. I understand that. But like, do you think it's good enough to, you know, just not be a good parent? It's like, no. It's okay. So what would happen if we actually got your energy back, fixed the lifestyle so you were feeling better and you had more headspace? Like, how would that impact the kids' situation? Oh, I could play with them again. Exactly. But like, do you realize the problem? Yeah, I'm the problem. I'm not fixing my energy and I'm not doing anything about my situation. So therefore it's getting worse and worse. So your why then becomes, I want to be the better parent and I need to do the thing I'm supposed to do. This is why I'm fixing my fucking lifestyle. Whereas that same person will probably come to me and be like, oh, well, I need to lose 3 kilos. It's like, you don't need to lose 3 kilos. The weight wasn't the fucking problem. And because the weight's not the problem, you know, you're focusing on that thing that doesn't matter. That's not your issue. I've said it to chefs who are 130, 140 kilos. Losing weight's not the fucking goal. Losing weight's not the goal. Your goal is to focus on your process every single week. Like, are you eating 3 meals a day? Are you batch cooking once a week? And are you exercising every day? Are you posting pictures of your food? You know, that's your goal, is to accomplish that every single week. Because if you accomplish that, the weight will take care of itself. You know, the problem and the reason why is you've got an extremely negative, unhealthy, ill-disciplined lifestyle that's ultimately causing your health to be ruined. But you're focusing on the symptom, which is, well, it's the weight. The weight is the symptom. That's the byproduct of what you're doing, but it's not the focus. You need to focus on your process, your habits, and making that shit a goal. Do you understand? So it's like, for every single person out there, I always suggest having a good fucking objective conversation with someone. One of the best conversations a chef can have out there, and I'm not fucking blowing my own horn, but it's to talk to Marcel Ferrella. Because I don't honestly believe that there's a lot of people out there who really understand what it's like and are going to tell you the truth and call you on shit. You know, like one of the biggest things.
And they've never said it out loud before as well, and they've never heard. You know, there's no situation in a chef's life or in their personal life where that's a normal thing to talk about, you know, or even to realize, or to think that other people have the same thing. Especially when you say, like, you hear a lot, I just, that's the big word as well, I just want to lose a bit of weight. And then you've told me time and time again, you don't have a weight problem, you have a discipline problem, you know, and that's where your structure is, it needs to come into it. 100%. But it's not a conversation that two chefs will have with each other over a cigarette out the back after service. It's not a conversation that a depressed or miserable chef is going to have with their wife when they get home from work. It's just not.
Fucking absolutely. And I think that's why it's important that when you're struggling is that you're able to put that forward. And I suppose that's what we try and offer. But here's the thing. When you don't have the conversation, you become self-reliant. You know what I mean? We've all fucking done this. We've all internalized something. Like, I know I've made excuses for things and I've just kind of kept it to myself. And I have my reasons for doing it, or my perception of how things are going. And a lot of the time there's two sides, you know, there's a couple of sides. There's your version, their version, and there's the actual truth, you know? And we all
it's easier not to deal with it. It is easier.
Totally. So much easier, you know, and I've done that many times. It's actually easier for me to stay in my comfort zone right now and kind of face myself and go, Cameron, like, you need to fucking pull it together, man. Like, what the fuck is going on here? And even though you do that, even though you might end up in the shit, chef, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. But I always say it is your responsibility. It ain't your fault, but it is your responsibility, because I can't, and no one can, get the cat on the go there, lads. No one can come in and fix it for you. I don't say that because it's a bad thing to say. I say that because that is the absolute truth. You know what I mean? And if I could wave a magic wand, I wish I would. I wish I could, but I can't. You know, I can't. You have to fix it. So the way to fix it is to spark the why. Like, look at yourself objectively, or have a conversation with someone who will look at shit objectively and go, well, listen, like, in that situation, this is probably what you could be doing. In that situation, you could be doing this. You could be doing that. You know, and in that, it'll start to unravel the truth in your mind, because then you have your opinion, their opinion, boom. Now you can find the truth in the middle. Once you have the truth, then it's like, shit, man, well, this is my situation. I need to do it because of this. You know, because of the X, fill in the gap, whatever that thing is that's personal to you, chef. But understand,
I think the fact that they've applied for and has taken that call, you're ready.
Exactly.
You know, you do know what's about to come, and it mightn't be at all what you're expecting, but the fact that you did actually click apply and put your phone number in and take that call means you are ready to. Maybe they're not ready to face it or not ready to hear it. I don't know what type of response you get if people are like affronted or whatever, or if you get a lot of, yeah, do you know what, you bang on, or would there be a lot of people that are like, right, I'm in a dark place. You hear that a lot. I'm in a dark place, and that's, you know, that's 6 months after, or a year, or 10 years after. That's only in hindsight. I'm saying this. This is 10 years after. We should have made that realization. But the fact that you're actually making, you know, applying for that consult means, I would imagine, that you're ready to listen to it and to hear it and to know what's going on.
For sure. I think there's definitely a mix. I think, yeah, if you've taken that far of a step, for the majority of cases, like, you're ready to do something. You know something's wrong, but you're not, like, you're feeling all the pain. Like, it's not as if these chefs that I talk to are like, you know, they know they could be doing more at home. Like, they're not oblivious to that. Like, the chefs would be honest with me and say, like, listen, man, like, I feel like a shit dad because I'm not fucking playing with my son on the day off, or I'm not taking him to the playground because I'm too fucking tired. Like, they're telling me that. It's not, you know, that they're totally oblivious to it. They are. But it's just, even in them saying that, and maybe they haven't been able to say it to anyone before, as you said, you know, even in speaking it, you kind of unravel it in your own mind and kind of realize, and, oh yeah, shit, well, actually, you know, that kind of needs to be sorted. I've had a few. It's like having a fucking, sometimes just a soundboard will literally give you an epiphany of kind of going, okay, yeah, that actually, do you know what, even though I've just said that, like, it sounds like I could fucking do something here.
I'm fed up with ... or I'm just fed up with ...
Totally, 100%. And the thing I'll leave you all with, and we'll end it on this, you got to understand, in whatever you're trying, commitment is your key to succeeding at it. Commitment. Like, are you committed to doing the thing for as long as it needs to be done? Whether that be career, lifestyle, whatever. You'll only sacrifice, okay? And you'll only overcome adversity, and you'll only commit through anything if it matters to you. If it matters. So that's a question that I'll leave you with. It's like, fuck, have I struggled to commit to things before? Did those things matter to me, yes or no? You know, because if it does matter, you'll find a way. If it doesn't, you won't. Simple as. Give us a like on the old video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel. 5-star review. I'm going to start saying this at the start of the podcast because we need you fuckers to do this, please.
You did the last couple of weeks say at the start, and I think if your partner needs to hear this one, this is a big one. If there's somebody that I've been trying to get into Chef It for a long time, and I think that's the angle that they need to hear is the real why. So this could be a very important episode for someone that you know as well.
Totally. 110%. So again, we need your support. Share it on all social media platforms. Give us a review if you can, please. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for next week's episode. Petey, as always, my man, stay safe. Guys, thank you so much.
Peace out, brother.
Nice.